Okay, so as I was saying, we're still 10 minutes behind, so I have to cut some information out. I will also say, this is a workshop that I've reworked in a different way, so I have an evaluation form that I want your feedback on and see how it goes, see what I might need to change or do a little bit differently. I think I've already, even from session 1, thought of something else I might do down the line. But I have no financial relationships to disclose, but as I say, I'm always looking for some, okay? So if you have any money that's just sitting somewhere, I'm happy to name something in your honor, okay? But anyway, really this session, we're looking at resilience, but from the perspective of gratitude and how gratitude helps with our resilience. So that's pretty much what we're looking at, and these are your objectives: to be able to describe the relationship between gratitude and well-being, identify several options for enhancing resilience using gratitude, and then we're going to practice some resilience-building activities using gratitude, and then if we get to it at the end, we're going to write a gratitude wellness goal. If we don't, because of the 10 minutes that we've lost, okay, then it will be your homework assignment, okay? All right, so we'll do quick introduction. I'll skim resilience and stuff quickly. I'll spend most of the time in the happiness, gratitude, and well-being. And then, like I said, if we get time to the intent to change, then we'll cover it. If not, we'll just pass it to homework. Okay, so how many of you were here last year? Only 2. Okay, so this is just a schema that I use for individual resilience, okay? And it focuses on making sure that we have good self-care, taking care of ourselves, making ourselves a priority, and how we do that in the course of all of our busy lives. Managing your energy, putting your energy in the places that give you happiness, that are joyful for you, that are places that benefit you, using them in the right way and getting rid of those negative energies. Emotional intelligence, starting off with self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, internal motivation, those kind of things. And then mindfulness, and how we use mindfulness in different places throughout the day that can actually help promote resilience. This is some quotes from a book that Beth Miller, she's a PhD, wrote. It's down here, the Women's Book of Resilience, 12 Qualities to Cultivate. And I like these, so I just took a couple of little quotes, and we're just going to kind of go through these real quick. One is, we want to be resilient, okay? We want to be able to bounce back from misfortune, and we want to be able to thrive during difficulties. We also know that resilience is natural. Think about it, looking at beautiful Eliza here, right? She's going to learn to walk at some point in time, and she's going to fall down. But she's going to get up again, just like the rest of us did, to the point that we all walk, all right? When we need something as an infant, she's going to cry until she learns how to speak, and then she's going to ask for things, okay? So there's an innate amount of resilience that we as human beings are just naturally born with, all right? But we also know that no one is resilient 100% of the time. And this is where we have a saying at Vanderbilt that says, permission to be human, and that there are times when we can't be everything perfect all the time, right? So permission to be human, and realize that there are times that you're going to need a little help. But resilience can also be crushed, right? I talked about that this whole morning, thinking about when we have negative work environments, all right? Then that's kind of like places where it crushes our resilience. But the most important thing is that we can learn resilience. And that's where that part of those 4 strategies to promote resilience comes in. Okay, now, in your little mini portfolio, okay, I have included some information on resilience. And you're going to do for homework the first one at the top, which is identify where you think you are today, or whatever day you're going to do this on. And then the 4 strategies, think about what you might need to do to support those. And then I want you to think about Miller's 12 items on her wheel. All right? And the 2 that I'm going to point out, because they're not always as self-explanatory, is the manageable parts. And what that means is, when we're sometimes faced with challenging times in our life, we can be more resilient if we break those down into smaller, manageable parts, smaller pieces. So instead of looking at the big picture of, oh my God, this is not where I want to work and I need to move and I need this and my kids are this and and you start thinking about all of the things that go into something, break them down into small, manageable parts. You'll be more resilient. You'll be able to handle it a little bit better. And then the other one is this interdependence part, and that's the part about relationships and who's cultivating resilience with us and who's taking away resilience from us, that squashing part, okay, making sure that you recognize those things. And the nice thing is that she puts vulnerability in the center, and that you kind of have to be real with yourself and vulnerable to accept all of these potential areas of what you need to do or what you need to have, okay, in order to keep yourself resilient. So for homework, I want you to read down this list and circle at least one, but maybe two or even three that you think are areas you might want to work on, okay? Now, happiness, gratitude, and well-being. So one of the objectives was understanding this relationship. So happiness, you just heard Kerri downstairs talk about PERMA, okay? So maybe I'll go faster during this part, okay? Because you pretty much heard all this. The one that I tend to point out a lot is this part about meaning. Understanding your real purpose. And Kerri even mentioned this. She said, you go through this, you go through that, you go through this, and it's natural steps and progressions. But do you really ever stop to say, what is my meaning? What is the purpose of my life? What am I here to do? And maybe it's what I'm here to do right now versus what I might be here to do somewhere else. But understanding for you your internal sense of purpose and meaning. All right, and that's going to be based on some of your values as well. So Kerri did a good job. I'm not going to go back into the rest of these. But I will say this. So 90% of our happiness is actually predicted by the way our brain processes the world. Okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example because the other 10% is that's predicted by the external world. How many of you here like traffic? Raise your hand. Come on, lift it up real high. You like it so much, right? Okay, so you're shaking your head no, so I'm assuming you're a little bit like me, Trisha. Okay, so I hate traffic, okay? And for many years, I pretty much convinced myself I was the only smart person who drove in Nashville. Everybody else was just pathetic, right? And when you start looking at what they're doing, I'm like, oh my God, look at what they just did. You know, and then, you know, I've gotten to the point, I'm like, dumb shit, you know, that was just wrong, you know, why are you doing these things? But what I was doing is I was filtering all of that in my brain in a negative way. So when I kind of learned about this concept and the whole part of neuroplasticity and how we change our brains and stuff like that, I said, okay, traffic is the one thing that really is my downer in the day. So I need to take control of this because I've got 90% of it in my control, right? So then I started looking at people when they would do something, instead of cutting with dumb shit real quick, I would say, I wonder what's going through their mind. Did they not, like this lady seriously ran a stop sign and right in front of me the other day. And good thing is I was able to stop and you could see her go like this in the car. But I didn't react in my old way, okay? My new way was, thank God I saw her and I didn't get hit, okay? So I started filtering and changing my filter, and then driving doesn't upset me as much anymore, okay? It's mostly in your control. So how are you filtering things? Anybody here a pessimist and want to admit it? Okay, so for all of our pessimists, this is a place where you can actually work to change it. It does take a little bit of work, all right? My daughter tried to be, tried to be a pessimist like at 12. She said, I think I'm going to be a pessimist. I'm like, no, you're not, okay? and because people who are optimists are happier, they live longer, they do better in their jobs, they have less stress and burnout, okay? Everybody will have stress, but it's how it impacts you, okay? So the more, for those of you who think that you might be more pessimistic, okay, I want you to think about changing that filter, 90% of it based on how you filter it, And that goes back to the what? Glass half full, glass half empty, glass feeds the world, glass only feeds one. Okay? There's different spins on how you can do that. All right, so you get to choose how you see your stressors. Think about that. Because you're going to be in a stressful situation within the next couple of days, I guarantee it, right? And how are you going to choose to process it under your control? You could be, oh, the sky is falling. Or you might say, let me see what I can do about this, because it's what's in my control, versus what I have no control over, okay? All righty, so the positive brain is 31% more productive, it is more resilient, they have less burnout, it increases dopamine, so it turns on our learning centers. We can actually learn things faster, better, easier, and we are actually happier when we have higher levels of dopamine. And you know that we're now getting to the point where we're proving that depression has depleted levels of dopamine, okay? So we know that there's a significant relationship with dopamine and how we feel. All right, so what makes you happy? That is the question. We're gonna do a 2-minute share kind of activity. One person talks, so if you pair together, you'll be the talker for 2 minutes. You're just going to listen. It's kind of the same thing Kerri did downstairs. And the funny thing is Kerri and I did not plan these sessions together, okay? We did not. And then we're going to switch. And all you're going to talk about is what makes you happy. It could be from the littlest thing, like I like, like just sitting down with my 16-year-old and watching television together just fills my tank, if I use Kerri's example. So it could be something little, or it could be something really big, okay? 2 minutes. Turn to each other, find a partner, turn around. Okay, and so throw out a few adjectives about how that made you feel. Happy. Positive. Energy. Connection. Reminiscence. Okay, I like. All right, and so that energy that you start to get is that increasing level of dopamine, okay? So the more positive you keep that brain, the more that energy kind of comes, okay? Now, again, it can be squished, right? But the more we allow it to be there, the better, okay? All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit. This is that model that I said was one of the objectives, okay, which is looking at the relationship between gratitude and well-being. So I looked at a couple of different sources about gratitude, and there's some fair amount of stuff out there that I thought was pretty nice. And the bottom line is what they come to is that meaning and value make up gratitude. Meaning and value. Meaning and value to you, okay? And that gratitude makes us feel thankful and appreciative. And that then leads to, in combination, positive feelings, which then leads to more well-being. So if you want to improve your well-being, this is one actual proven way to do that, which is gratitude. Which, when you think about it, doesn't really have to cost you anything, okay? But we do need to stop, take the time, appreciate it, value it, and we need to know what these two elements are for each of us as an individual, because what's for me might not be for Deidre, might not be for Catherine, okay? So we have to know what it is for us, okay? And so in your portfolio, oh, and I forgot to tell you, homework is the PERMA wheel, okay? And the PERMA wheel tells you what to do. Place a dot. It's on a scale, 0 to 10, and where you think you are now for each of them, and then use a different color pen, like a red pen the second time, and do it where you would want it to be, okay? Where would you want it to be? What would be optimal for you, okay? Where do you want to move it? So if you ranked positive energy, kind of, because one of you are a pessimist, you said you're a pessimist, right? And you put it at a 6, but where you would like it to be is an 8, okay, then that then identifies an area for you to work on and to make a goal about, okay? Then on the next side is a little bit of a work activity based on meaning and core values. And so this is one of those things that you have to really sit down and think about it a little bit and push yourself. So my pushing you is to try and find at least 8 or more core values. Okay? 8 or more would be your goal, to try and push yourself to get to that level. Okay? All right. So what does gratitude mean to you? Just yell things out. When I say the word gratitude. Thankful. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Appreciative. Not taking things for granted. Yeah, I like that one. Anything else? Fortunate. I didn't. Fortunate. Yeah. Shareable. I love that. Yeah, shareable. We're going to do that today. Being present and noticing. And that's part of the mindfulness part in the 4 strategies, right? Because if you're present and you notice things, that gratitude kind of can seep through your soul. Like so my daughter just passed her driver's permit, okay? And so we were in here yakking on the phone a little bit, and I had this overwhelming sense of pride, okay? And I told her that, right? And just to share it, just to even say, I am just right now just so totally filled with how proud of you I am, right? Shareable. Okay. All right. And so what different forms can gratitude take then? Go with yours. Yeah. So that shareable part has to be an action, right? And so it could be verbal, could be something else. Generosity, okay, by giving it to somebody else and sharing, right? It could look like generosity. Peace, something internal, right? It could be something internal that you feel, that peace, that pride, whatever it is, that deep sense of awe, okay? I remember going to a conference and they talked about awe, and I just loved it because it reminded me to stop and be more mindful and be present when there are things around me that I'm just in awe of, okay? So yeah, so gratitude can be internal, it can be external, it could be an action. And so from all the stuff that I read, this was the definition that they used, that gratitude is appreciation of what is valuable and meaningful to oneself and represents a general state of thankfulness and or appreciation. But again, it focuses on valuable and meaningful to oneself, so that what might be valuable and meaningful to me might be different than, what's your name? Jill. Jill, okay, and vice versa, all right? So this is, again, an individualized kind of process of what you feel gratitude about. But it transcends interpersonal overtones or just me being polite, right, to say thank you as somebody opens up the door, okay, versus being more inclusive and allowing for experiences, sharing, being internal, all right? And so it allows for both state as well as traits and context. All right, so now grab your clicker and tell me, or answer the survey, should I say, how often do you think you demonstrate gratitude to others at work? If it's never, you're pressing 1, rarely is a 2, sometimes a 3, often is 4, and always is a 5. Okay, looks like we slowed down at 33, going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, so the amazing thing is you guys are almost exactly the same as the first group that did that. 62% of them said often, that they were demonstrating it often, okay? Now, how often do you experience gratitude from others at work? Never, really, sometimes, often, always. All right. Oh, we got an extra one this time. Okay. And just like the other group, your bell-shaped curve moved from here to here. So what does that mean? That means we think we're giving gratitudes, and it might be obviously because this is not like exactly you're in everybody's office together, right? But, so I understand that. But we don't feel it as much as we think we're giving it, which means there's room for us to grow. We have a place here at SIU that seems to want to promote these kind of things, so let's do that. Let's make our gratitude sharing much more obvious so that people, like, we move this curve. Like, next year when I move here, right? You guys are all the way down here, that you always feel a sense of gratitude from someone else in your work environment. Wouldn't that be awesome? That'd be awesome, right? Okay, so this is a new trick that I'm using. This is a scale. It's in your portfolio, so go ahead and open up to page 5. It looks like that. And as you can see, it's a 7-point scale. So let me explain this a little bit. 1 is a strongly disagree. 2 is disagree. 3 is somewhat disagree. 4 is neutral. 5 is somewhat agree, and strongly agree is 7. There are 2 items on here that are reverse, so we're going to do it together, all right? I'm going to read it, and you're going to write down the score on your sheet, and then we'll add them up. Last group, we had a little confusion with the reversal, so I'm going to do the all 1 to 7s first, and then I'm going to switch to the 7 to 1s, okay? So, strongly disagree, disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, agree, or strongly agree, okay? All right, so we're going to do all the 1 to 7s first. So, I have so much in life for which to be thankful for, where 1 is strongly disagree and 7 is strongly agree. Write what you think your ranking is. Number 2, if I had to list everything that I felt grateful for, it would be a very long list, where 1 is strongly disagree and 7 is strongly agree. We're going to skip 3, and we're going to go to 4. I am grateful to a wide variety of people, where 1 is strongly disagree and 7 is strongly agree. Number 5, as I get older, I find myself more able to appreciate the people, events, and situations that have been part of my life, where 1 is strongly disagree and 7 is strongly agree. And I'm going to say that this doesn't have to be old age like me old age, because we had some younger old people in the first session, and they brought this up as an example of what they already do to feel gratitude, okay? So it doesn't really matter your age, it matters at your age, do you feel, all right? Okay, now 3 and 6 are reverse. So we're going to go back to number 3. When I look at the world, I don't see much for which to be grateful. And in this situation, strongly disagree is a 7, and strongly agree is a 1. So that means it's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay? And number 6 is also that reverse scale. And it says, long amounts of time can go by before I feel grateful for something or someone. So that if you put strongly disagree, that's a 7. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 would be strongly agree. Okay, I'm going to give you a second or so to add up your score. Okay, when you've added up your score, if you scored 34 or less, plug in number 1. 35 to 38 is 2, 39 to 40 is 3, 41 and 42. All right, we'll take it. Ready, set, go. Aha. Well, there you go. So we have different places all over the map here. And just like Group A, you guys are normal, okay? They had a really wide spread like this too, with high numbers in different places. Okay, so just so you know, this level and up is about the 50th percentile on how you perceive gratitude. And then this part down is below the 50th percentile. Okay, so again, it's thinking about where we fit, what our score is, what we want to do different, right? So that's what we're going to work on next. All right, so now we're going to do a pair share again, okay? And it's about your meaning and your value. Talk about why you feel grateful based on meaning and value. And if you don't know what you think that is just yet, it's okay. Share that you're not there yet. You're going to try and discover it, okay? But try and focus toward meaning and or some values that you have, okay? Same thing. We're going to mindfully listen for 2 minutes, and then we're going to switch, okay? Ready? All right, so go back to your partners and go. Thank you very much. I had one other activity about verbally sharing with your partners, but to try and get to our next part of the activity, I'm going to skip it, but you don't have to. So before you leave the room, how about you say some level of appreciation or gratitude to the person who was your partner, okay? All right, so here's some ways that you can use gratitude. This positive reappraisal, reframing difficulties as opportunities for growth and learning, is what I did in my example of driving. It was the one thing that caused me significant stress during the day, and so I had to take an active role in order to shift how I was perceiving other people's driving. So that means it even involves recognizing that sitting in traffic is worth it, right? Okay, so there's something that I can gain. There's something in me that I have to surrender, right? I have to give up a little bit of something, which means I have to come into this deep realization about me, okay? And that's why I like this phrase, and it comes from this article, which I thought was really good. Good article to read if you want to read a little bit more of this. And then they look at these strategies that enhance feelings of gratitude. So journaling. Anybody here a journaler? Ooh, lots of journalers. Ooh, okay. I hate journaling, but but I don't hate any of you for liking journaling. Okay, I just don't like it. But reflecting on those that you are grateful for. So one of my activities this year after Lent, after I finished with my Lenten activity, was to think about people that I was grateful for and to write them or to call them or to send them a text. Okay, writing or sending letters to someone, meditating on gratitude. I'm going to show you a few things about that. Counting your blessings. Practice saying thank you. All right, and so there was one article that I read, and my colleague is a licensed professional social worker, so I talked to him about some of this stuff, and he said, yeah, saying thank you really becomes more powerful than saying sorry. So sorry tries to impose like somebody had something wrong, whereas if you say thank you, you're recognizing and demonstrating that gratitude. So instead of saying, I'm sorry I was late, say thank you for being so patient and waiting for me. And you shift it into gratitude as opposed to kind of excuse making and justification, okay? So writing thank you notes and then prayers and reflections of gratitude. So on your card, no, wait, hold on. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna do something else first. All right, so here's some examples of things that I've done. In my office, I use kudos stickers. So every time somebody in my office does something, I give them a kudos, that if they go a little bit above and beyond or something like that, I give them a kudos sticker. And we stick it up on this picture frame, so as the year goes by, the picture frame gets completely filled up with all these kudoses. And then at Christmas time, I take them all and I separate them by name and I give them to each person as a Christmas gift. And we go over them together and we reflect on the beautiful things that we worked on together and collaborated on through the year and how valuable they were to me in this last year. Things I wouldn't be able to do if they weren't my support team helping me, okay? And they just really love that. You can certainly do I'm grateful because kind of lists or journaling like you do. Anybody use Dailyo? It's actually a mood tracker, but I use it for gratitudes, okay? And then Delightful is a journal. So you can do journals, but it's my kind of journaling. 1, 2, 3 sentences, okay? And so this is what Dailyo looks like. And green is my favorite color, so green is my rad. And I put on here an example when my sister-in-law died back in January, okay? And it had all my greens before that, and then going through the funeral and the death, that healing process, and then seeing when I was able to kind of come back to seeing gratitude of things during the day, even though I was missing her. And there's these, it's quick because it's little button type things, so you can program them to be what you want them to be. And I have mine set at 9 o'clock so that every night I can actually stop, reflect on my day, think about the things I'm grateful for. And it could be simple things like last night I put Sue and Vidya's socks on there, okay? So I would never wear socks with a suit, okay? And I had heels to wear today. And I was self-conscious about it during the morning session. But then I was like, I'm going to flip my filter and appreciate the gift that they gave me. So here's my little socks, okay? This one's Dailyo. And then this one is Delightful, okay? And this one is an example. I got this one from Sue when we were at ACP. And you actually can just write 3 gratitudes a day. And I'm good with that, as opposed to journaling, okay? And so one is I started my coaching client. I watched this episode 16 of Lucky Romance, which is another K-drama that Lexi and I watched together, all right? And I slept well that night, okay? So you can see that you can put these things, and it's nice to go back and see them, okay? Or you can see, this gives you all these little things down here. It tells you your stats, your calendar. You can go back and reflect on it. I am now out of 187 days, I've only missed one night. Okay? So you can do this, all right? Okay, so with that, then I want you to take a challenge. Take the challenge. Train your brain for at least 2 minutes every day. This is by Sean Archer, The Happy Secret to Better Work. It's a TED Talk, and I really encourage you to look at it if you haven't seen it. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, changed a lot of things for me. But writing those 3 gratitudes using the Delightful app, and that's free, Dailyo's free. Journaling, for all of you journalers, that's probably what you're doing already, so that's good. And then exercising, meditation. Random acts of kindness is one that I try to sneak in there periodically as well, for just any old person that somehow I meet on the street or in the hospital, you know, to stop and say, are you lost? May I be your assistant today? How can I help you? Okay, and just do things like that for random acts of kindness, okay? So those are the 2 that I certainly recommend you do, and so we're gonna do one now. So the note card that you got, I want you to think of somebody that you are grateful for. And I want you to write down a little gratitude note for them. If they live far away, you have to put it in the mail tomorrow. If they live here, then you give it to them personally the next time you see them and tell them that you appreciate them. That's all you have to do, and give them the card. Just one thing, one person. I think you will enlighten and enhance someone's day when you send that. Hopefully you felt that emotion when you were writing it, and that should be increasing endorphins, keeping that brain on the positive side, right? Okay, all right, so this is the part that we're not gonna have time for because of our delay in start, and I'm gonna try and get us back on track, okay? So this is now gonna be homework, okay? Understanding that personal goals are important. Goals become visions, okay, and visions become actionable. So you're turning your dreams into reality when you write goals. And the more likely you write a goal, the more likely you are to complete the goal, okay? So I'm going to skip over some of this stuff, but there's some references in there. They're all in the slides, okay? And this is the model that I use. And so I want you to think about one thing that you might change as a result of being here today. And hopefully it will focus on gratitudes, but at the same time, if you came away with something else, you handle that, okay? Because it's about you, right? Everybody's individual. And on page 7, there's one page, page 6 is an example, and then I gave you 2 blank pieces. So you can have 2 goals even if you want, all right? But what it does is I intend to change the following, and then you say what that is. It could be to take the happiness challenge and 2 minutes every day. All right, and that's what you're going to do. But it also makes you look at what are your barriers? Who's your accountability partner? Is it specific, measurable, timely? What rewards do you build into it? Is it relevant for you? And then how do you evaluate it? When are you going to say, let me look back and see if this goal was good for me? Okay, and then you're going to reevaluate and say, do I want to continue this goal or do I need to address it and change it into something else? Okay, so that's going to be for your homework. So on your evaluation, you will not fill out that example. And I cannot get you to answer this question because we didn't actually write one, okay? So we'll skip that one. So in this breakout session, we describe the relationship between happiness, gratitude, and well-being. And you can increase your happiness by focusing on gratitude, which contributes to your resilience and your well-being. We identified several options for enhancing resilience using gratitude, and we actually practiced some resilience-building activities using gratitude. We did not get to write your gratitude wellness goals, so that's going to be your homework. All right? So if you wouldn't mind, fill out your evaluation. Tell me what we can do different, because this is the first time I've run this session quite like this, and first time I used the gratitude scale, so tell me what you think about it, you know, whether I should continue doing it or not. And I'll just say thank you for sharing your time with me and your colleagues. All right? Thanks. Oh, and I'm going to point out this book that I happened to stumble on. It's called Living in Gratitude. And if you want to plan, like if you don't think about a goal for yourself, here's a good goal. This book goes month by month by month. So January focuses on one type of gratitude. February is a different. June is equanimity, which I love because it's that deep self-reflective part. And I just wanted to give you one example. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Niken, which is a Japanese process. And it says, what have I received from, and then you fill in the blank, and then you reflect on those things. Usually a person, because it's relationships. And then what have I given to blank, and you fill that in. It makes you reflective. And then what troubles and what difficulties have I caused? And they emphasize that in those relationships, we have a commitment, we have issues, we have challenges, okay? And so they feel like you can't really get to a full place of gratitude until you've delved back into self to recognize what you're doing or bringing to that relationship, which I thought was a really beautiful concept. And so anyway, that's something else you can kind of think of. But this whole book goes month by month by month, okay? And she uses a variety of different things: Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, Japanese culture, Asian culture. So it's a nice, diverse way of looking at gratitude 1 month at a time. Okay, so consider that one as well. And please leave your clickers in the bin. They don't work for anything else. So I'd like to take them all back to Vanderbilt. I'm sure Vanderbilt would like me to bring them all back. Yeah, in the basket over there.